Today we're checking out the ShiftCam Lens Ultra 240mm Explorer Edition. The name makes it sound like a telephoto lens, and it is, but the thing that got me really excited is what it can do for macro photography. ShiftCam calls this a pocket-sized macro lab, and in this video I'm going to show you why. With the 4 macro adapters in this kit, you can go from around 10 times up to around 50 times magnification. I'll be using an SD card for this test because every photographer knows exactly how big one of these are no matter where you are in the world. So in the full kit you get the 240mm super zoom tele lens, 4 stackable macro converters, a CPL filter which is on the front here, and 2 variable ND filters which are at the top of this nice little carry pouch. The lens itself is aluminium, compact, and uses fluorite glass with multi-layer coatings to keep everything sharp and clean. With the converters and filters, the whole kit comes at around 250 grams, so it's generally pocket friendly compared to carrying a full macro rig. To use it, you'll need a ShiftCam case. It will turn your iPhone's 5x periscope camera or 4x or 8x on the iPhone 17 into a versatile optical platform. From DSLR style compression to museum level detail and cinematic lighting control. Then you screw on one of the macro converters. These are achromatic, which means they're designed to keep the image sharp and reduce color fringing even at high magnifications. So let's go through the macro converters using this SD card as our subject. So you have 4 of these macro adapters. And this end cap here is a polarizing filter, a CPL filter. So each one of these will magnify the image by 10 times. Now that is equivalent to the iPhone camera. So 10 times, 50 times, it doesn't really tell you exactly what the magnification is, which is why I'm using an SD card, because every photographer knows what size an SD card is. So at 10 times, just the lens on your telephoto lens on the iPhone, and then you put one of these adapters on and it turns it into a 20 times lens. The card fills about 65mm across the frame. On a full frame camera, that works out at roughly half life size or 1:2 macro ratio. We pop another one on, we go to 30 times, and we're down to 35mm, which is basically true 1:1 macro. At 40, which is 3 adapters, we're seeing 24mm across the ruler, so about 1.5:1 macro ratio. And if we put the 4th one on, which is a 50 times lens, we are seeing just 18mm, which is the equivalent of a 2:1 macro lens on a full frame camera. So by the time you've stacked up to 50 times, this little phone kit is giving you a magnification that's right in the territory of specialized macro lenses, like the OM Systems 90mm or lower 90mm 2 times macro lens. The working distance shrinks as you go higher, from about half a meter at 20 times down to around 10 centimeters at 50 times. But that's still enough room to get light on the subject, which is one of the big frustrations when it comes to cheaper phone macro clip-on lenses. Of course, I've tested this on more than just SD cards. Feathers, leaves, even a spider in the studio. The detail is impressive. At 1:1, you're getting classic macro close-up shots. At 2:1, you're well into the kind of shots that reveal textures and structures you just can't see without the naked eye. The CPL filter is brilliant for cutting reflections, especially on shiny leaves or water droplets. The variable NDs are handy for when you want to slow down your shutter or balance the light. I didn't really use the ND filters that much because when you're at a macro magnification of 1:1 or 2:1, your shutter speed is already quite low trying to cope with the low light. But they're there if you need to. And for macro, having that extra control over reflections and exposure really does help. So let's talk about what I like and what I don't like. And first we're going to talk about what I like. The versatility is fantastic. One kit covers telephoto, cinematic compression and macro from about 1:2 all the way up to 2:1. So that's half life size to 2 times macro on a full frame equivalent. The achromatic converters keep things sharp, and the working distances make lighting easier than with most macro setups. Typically, if you go out and get a budget one, if you want to photograph, say, a spider, you're going to be about this far away from the subject, whereas with these lenses, you're about this far, which means not only can you get the light onto your subject, but you're less likely to scare the subject. That is great. I do like how these macro adapters screw into place, so they're not going to fall off very easily at all. I love the CPL filter on the front, and again, that is a screw-on filter. Those are all great, and that is what I do like about this system. Now let's talk about what I don't like. On the downside, once you're up at 50 times, the light does drop off and stability issues do make things a little tricky. Handheld is possible, but for the best results, I'd recommend using a tripod or some sort of clamp. The other thing I'm not too keen on is the size of the lenses. They are quite big once you've got them stacked up. Now that's not a problem in its own right, except the case I don't particularly like. And the reason I don't like the case is, well, it doesn't fit in my pocket. And the idea of having macro setup on your phone is that everything fits in your pocket. So what I would like to see is an end cap here and a lens cap on the front, so I can just put this particular system into my pocket, and this fits in perfectly adequate. It's just the case that I'm not too keen on. Also, when it attaches to your phone, it's a quick twist system. I would like an actual screw-on system, because sometimes it's come loose while on my phone. Now I haven't dropped it, nothing major has happened. These are just improvements that could be made to this system. The other thing as well is quite heavy. Now when you talk about macro setups, it's light compared to your full rig setup, but when you're talking about mobile macro, we want to keep things small and light. It's not an issue, it's just that we can get things a little bit better if we can make them a little bit lighter. That's it. Apart from that, I've had no problems using this ShiftCam lens 250mm on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. So this is perfect for creators who want to push their phone beyond what it's possible out of the box. If you're into textures, small details, or just love macro, this kit lets you get shots you'd normally only achieve with a dedicated camera and specialist lens. Most modern phones do come with a macro mode. Let's be honest with each other though, it doesn't really do the job very good, does it? It's not very good. I still recommend getting a dedicated macro lens if you want to do macro on your phone. So that's the ShiftCam Lens Ultra 250mm Explorer Edition full kit. For me, the telephoto reach is nice, but the real star here is the macro system. It generally turns your phone into a portable macro lab capable of fitting magnifications of up to 2:1 full frame equivalent. I want to thank ShiftCam for sending this over for review, and if you want to check it out, I'll drop a link in the description below. But that's where I'm going to leave this video. My name's Stewart. I want to thank you for getting to the end of this video, and I'll see you on the next one.